All right, welcome to Cafe Chronicles. Tonight we have Cayla Stus. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so we're here to talk about your tribute to Teena Marie.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So how did you end up doing that?
Honestly, I started going to the jam sessions at Woodbridge Pub on Sunday nights, and from there I met Sky Covington, and a bunch of people had came to me and said that they recommended me for doing a tribute to Teena Marie. And so, when I first got the offer from Sky, I was like, "Oh, wow. Like that's quite the comparison,
Yeah,
to even be compared to like a vocal legend such as her. I obviously know that I am a fairly talented singer, but obviously that comparison is monumental.
yeah,
And to even be asked to take on such a legendary voice like that was really flattering and I think a good moment for me, and I've had the honor of learning some of her music and
yeah.
presenting it, and it's been really fun.
Had you been a Teena Marie fan before that?
I had heard a decent amount of her music, but I don't think I, would have considered myself a true fan, like know,
Right.
this and that about her. But I definitely I did love her music before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So then, but now when you got the gig,
Oh yeah.
you had to dig in
I
pretty
obviously did a
deep,
deep
right?
dive
Yeah,
into
yeah,
everything, and learning so much about her
yeah.
has been so much fun.
What does that entail for you when you have to do that deep dive?
For me, I mean, I started with a Google search, found some videos and interviews that she did. I watched a lot of her old interviews
Mhm.
on like the early TV shows and her old performances,
Yeah.
just to try to get a feel for not only like how she sings live, but how she talks to the crowd, how she entertains.
Oh,
And I
wow.
actually
Okay.
found out when I was watching a video that covered her that she did musical theater in high school, and that's
You
part of
do
my
that.
background
Yeah.
too. Yeah. So I realized that we have a lot more in common than I initially thought.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you study her, like her vocal ticks? I don't know if that's the right word, ticks, but I mean her
Yeah,
vocal,
yeah.
like,
Like her mannerisms, her
yeah,
vocal mannerisms, and her stylisms. Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Studying like her cry that she does quite frequently.
yeah,
I was practicing that in my car over and over again on the way to rehearsals, just
yeah,
like making sure I get it right. And yeah, I spent a lot of time, like, I would sing with her. I would put on, the record in the car and just sing along
yeah,
to the songs that I was doing. I made a whole playlist of like everything in order. Some days I would just sing the show down in order. Some days I would shuffle it and see, how am I doing on this song on this day,
yeah. That's cool. So you would sing along to the record and like,
Yeah.
yeah,
To try to really, obviously I, got a really good handle on her mannerisms, and then there was the added element of like bringing myself into it. So
yeah,
once I really mastered the way that she moves around in her voice, I was able to kind of bring a little bit of my own into it, which was really nice as well.
yeah. That never worked for me. When I was younger, I always sang along with like Robert Plant,
Yeah,
Led
yeah.
Zeppelin, or Billy Joel.
Sure.
It never got me anywhere with my vocal
Really?
talents. That was I was younger though, and I was living at home. But I turned the music up really loud so nobody could
Yeah.
hear me.
I
Yeah,
gotcha.
so my parents were like, but so that's just it's very interesting to me how you know people go about doing that. You
Yeah.
know,
And it's different for everyone.
I know that's why I'm asked because
Yeah.
I talk about this to a couple other people
Mhm.
that have done these tributes.
Yeah.
Um,
I've never done something like this. I've never done a tribute act like where I'm, portraying another artist before. I've covered songs from other
mhm.
artists plenty of times, but I've never had to actually step into like this person's shoes and perform how they would perform. So
It's like
it's a whole
a
other
role,
beast. Yeah.
right? It's like a role, like an acting
It
role,
is.
right?
It's basically like a one-woman show, which obviously I have
Because you're an
my band
actor
up
as
with.
well, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
Yeah. It was basically like the same way I would prepare for a role. I was memorizing the music the same way. I was, memorizing her mannerisms the same way. I've never done a show where I had a role that was based on a real person. At least nobody super big, famous, and
mm,
specific. So, I knew I had to get it right. You know what I mean? Because there were a lot of people coming who like know who she was and got to see how she acted. So it was a little bit
yeah,
intimidating, but it was definitely really fun.
yeah. Well, now you've done it a few few times already, right?
The tribute?
The Teena
I've
Marie
done it
tribute.
once.
Yeah,
I did it once back in January.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're doing it again, so it
Yeah.
must have.
I'm very excited. A lot of people couldn't come because of the weather, so I'm very excited to.
Oh.
We're presenting the exact same show as we did in January for
Yeah.
the people who couldn't be here and for those who would like to come again.
Yeah.
And I mean, I love this repertoire. I love this music, and she's just so much fun to sing.
Yeah. Who's in the band?
The band is Level Rising.
Okay.
So you got, Brian on drums, Paul on saxophone, Eddie on guitar. Oh my goodness, my names are slipping me, but the band is Level Rising.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they've been here many times.
Yeah.
And then I have two of my favorite people on background vocals, Nina Simone Neal and her daughter Jay
Sure.
Simone.
Yeah.
And they have been really pivotal for me in my journey of getting adjusted to the scene here in Detroit. I mean, Nina was so welcoming to me when I started coming to Woodbridge, and then I got closer to Jay, and the fact that they would do this for me and sing with me is such an honor because, I mean, Nina does not do that for just anybody, so it's truly an honor.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, so we talked. You act as well, right?
Yes.
But you also do like musical.
Yeah, I have a bachelor's degree in musical theater from Oakland University.
Okay.
I graduated with that degree in 2024, and then I decided, I want a little bit more music, and I found out there's a program at Oakland called the Bachelor of Interdisciplinary Studies, where you can curate your own degree based on with courses that you are interested in and would be helpful to your career. So I kind of made a contemporary music degree with conducting classes, music business classes, and more jazz lessons, voice lessons, and all of that. And I was able to do 16 credits a semester and be finished in a year. So I finished my second degree in 2025, and now I'm halfway done with my master's degree.
Is that where you met Scott Quinnell?
Yeah, I met Scott at Oakland. I was nearing the end of my sophomore year in the musical theater program, and I distinctly remember this. It was the end of March 2022. I get a Facebook message from Scott Quinnell, and he's like, you don't know who I am, but I've heard that you sing the pop and jazz style really well. Have you ever considered auditioning for jazz singers? And I was like, okay. Like, I had friends who were in it, but I never, thought about joining it myself. I never considered it. I hadn't really done much jazz. I maybe sang with a big band once in high school for an event, but I hadn't really delved into jazz at all. So I was like, I'll definitely try it out and see how I like it. And now we obviously see how that turned out.
Yeah.
But
Is that the Grizzlies? Is that
the Golden Grizzly Jazz
Golden
Singers.
Grizzlies, yeah.
Yeah. So I joined that group and I was a part of it for 3 years. And I mean, it was one of my favorite parts about school. I could just come, decompress, and sing, jazz music with my favorite people, and it was really great.
Yeah. Well, Scott's fantastic. He's a great educator.
He really is. I mean, I just saw him earlier today. I was helping him out at Marygrove earlier today. So, I mean, he's done so much for me and my development as a jazz vocalist and a jazz musician in general. I took lessons with him for some time, and once I had a semester of jazz singers under my belt, that's when he was like, you should come down to Aretha's. And we had our holiday cabaret at Aretha's in December of 22. So I had been here like once before that.
You're talking about the jam sessions, right?
Yeah, the jam sessions. So I decided to come down in early March of the following year with some of my friends, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is this? Like, what is this that I've been missing out on for all this time? And so I kind of just turned into, I kept coming down. I was addicted to it. Yeah. Like every Sunday I'd be like, I'm going to Aretha's again. I'm going to Aretha's again. I'm going to Aretha's again. Yeah. And then I, started going to Woodbridge pubs. So it's like, I'm going to Aretha's and then I'm going to Woodbridge. Yeah. And then there was Parts and Labor. And so I kind of became like a fiend for these jam sessions because that's really how jazz vocalists develop and jazz musicians in general. It doesn't just happen in a classroom or in a lesson. It happens at these jam sessions, and that's how I mean, the connections that I made there is what got me here. So I'm so thankful for all of that.
It's like baptism by fire.
Exactly.
You get thrown in there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not to say that I haven't had moments on the bandstand that were scary. Like I have. I've had nights that I was really intimidated. It was early on that Scott paired me up with Mike Harrison, if you know Mike.
Sure. Yeah.
And I remember playing with him for the first time. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so intimidated." Like these fantastic musicians, and they were pushing me. And that's what I really needed to continue developing, because
Pushing you in a good way, right? I mean,
pushing me in a great way.
Yeah.
And it made sure, like, when I'm always meeting musicians that challenge me, it makes sure that I don't plateau.
Yep.
Which I really appreciate. I always want to keep learning. I always want to keep improving and growing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always kind of live by that. I always do that, like with the cafe,
Right.
And with this podcast, that Justin and I, we're always trying to up our game.
Absolutely.
Constantly,
Sure.
And because it gets boring. that
Of
plateau
course,
is very boring,
right, it is.
And you just got to keep moving, and you just got to
Exactly.
keep climbing,
Right.
So,
And there are always good things on the other side.
yeah.
Sometimes it gets hard, but it's definitely worth it.
So, okay. So you're a jazz singer,
Mm-hmm.
an actor, what did you call it? A musical theater major?
I'll just say, and it falls under actor, I
Okay,
guess.
right. Well, I mean, it's a little different because
little.
you're singing and it's musical.
Yeah,
I
but
think to me that's different. But
that's fair. I
Yeah.
mean, in my training, it was all kind of the same. It's just the added layer of singing on
Right.
top of the acting. But granted, singing has always come easier to me first, so it was more of learning the acting of it.
yeah,
Because I had been singing since I was a kid, and then I didn't start theater until high school. So that was another situation similar to jazz where I just found it and I became obsessed with it. So that's been kind of a trend for me.
Okay.
I like to find things and kind of latch onto them,
Yeah.
and I don't think I've let go of any of that yet,
All right.
thankfully, and it's all worked out.
Do you write any of your own material?
I do. I've been writing songs since I was 9, and I just released my first EP in December. Finally, it took a long time, not even to record anything, but to really put together a body of music that I was happy with,
Mhm.
and that I was like, okay, I don't need to move this or put another song in this place. My best friend, Dion Jackson Jr., and I met at Oakland, and he is a wonderful singer, songwriter, producer. But we started, jamming out together at school, and I decided, I was like, hey, will you produce my music for me? And, working with him is so great because he is just kind of the person who just gets it.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell him what vibe I'm going for a song, and he will nail it on the head. And he will just do such a great job.
Man, when you find people like that,
it's so invigorating. Yeah.
because I've been in bands where the members have changed,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, why can't you be more like the
Right.
one guy that left?
Of course.
Not that you're not good, but
Right.
you're not,
But sometimes when there's a vibe and you're trying to find somebody to fill that spot,
yeah.
it can be hard.
Yeah, the music is a complicated and special thing.
Absolutely.
Especially live and, within,
Right.
that dynamic of different players.
Of course.
So I talk about this. I think every podcast I talk about this now is the original music kind
Hey,
of thing. Because
I love talking about it.
Yeah, I'm a songwriter myself. So,
Oh, yeah.
and I love it. I love original music.
I
can't
it.
say that enough. And I think it's fantastic that you do that.
Thank you.
And what kind is it? Jazz?
It's pop with a little bit of an
Okay.
R&B influence, a little bit of a soul influence. I like to think that my music is a little bit influenced by everything.
Mhm.
I mean, a couple of my songs have a little bit more of like a, not musical theater, but like a little more of a showy, like dramatic,
Yeah.
like side to them, which I like. I'm, in the works of planning other projects, and I'm definitely going to be taking a shift into like straight up R&B very soon, which
Oh.
I'm really looking forward to. But I like to think that my music is always like a hodgepodge of who I am. And,
Okay.
kind of similar to my favorite artist who I look up to a lot is Ray. I don't know if you've heard of Ray.
R-A-E?
Yeah, Raye.
Oh, R-A-Y-E.
She wrote like Where Is My Husband, Escapism, a couple of songs that have been
Maybe.
circulating a lot
Yeah.
over the last few years. And she's very similar. Like, she's like a pop R&B singer-songwriter, but she also is like a straight up jazz vocalist.
Yeah.
So, when I first got into her, I was like, oh wow, like this is somebody who's doing what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of everything and is doing it well. So, and she's doing it all as an independent artist, which is
That's
really impressive.
Yeah.
And her newest album just passed 1 billion streams on Spotify.
Oh wow.
For the first time.
RAYE.
Yeah.
I write this down.
Oh, highly recommend. And
I
highly
keep this here
recommend
for
to
a
anybody
reason.
watching.
Yeah.
I cannot recommend Ray's music enough.
Okay. Okay. And so I'm asking this because I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah.
Are you trying to write pop songs, or are you trying, or is that just what comes out?
It's honestly, it's just what comes out sometimes. I mean, I obviously started in pop because that's, I grew up listening to that the most. I didn't really start listening to like jazz, R&B, soul until I started getting into jazz. So I'm still very new to all of this. So I was still pretty new to Teena when I was asked to do this. So it's all just kind of been the last 3 or 4 years development.
Okay.
But it's another thing that I, found and took to it quickly. I think my favorite genre to just listen to, if I can pick one thing to go to after like a long day or when I'm driving somewhere, is R&B.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's got R&B's it's got a definite groove to it, like a certain. I'm talking like old school R&B.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, but
and also it's so diverse. Like you can say R&B and you can have so many different sounds within that genre. Yeah. And I think that's what I love is the dynamicness of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's another topic that I'm struggling with is like labeling music.
Right.
Because you say R&B.
Right.
There's so many
there's so many different subcategories.
You say
exactly.
pop or you say rock.
Exactly.
There's so many different things. But the reason I was asking you about if that pop or R&B, if that's just what comes out,
right?
Because I always struggle to label my original stuff because I'll sit down to write something, but I got into my head a couple of years ago that I'm just going to write whatever comes out. And try to finish the feeling. Right. Yeah. And sometimes it comes out and it sounds a little country, but I'm like, this is not bad. I'm just going to finish it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I did a challenge similar to that where I bought a little tiny notepad from CVS and it was purple. Purple's my favorite color if you couldn't already tell. And so I just bought this little purple. Are you a fan of Prince? Actually, a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I didn't listen to much of his music before he passed away, but I mean, phenomenal. Legendary.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I bought this little notepad from CVS, and I was just like, whenever I have an idea for a lyric, whether I'm in class, whether I'm walking somewhere, if I'm driving, I'll just make a voice recording and write it down later. Yeah. I would just write down what came up. And I ended up filling, every single page. I made some really good songs out of it. Yeah. Sometimes I would just write down lyrics and nothing would come of it, but for the most part, I got a lot of really good material out of it that
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I try to use my phone, like my Pages app or my Notes app, or half the reason I got an Apple Watch is so I can talk into it.
Yeah, and it's really helpful.
Do the lyrics.
Right.
Because it's very important to me the songwriting because it's just I don't even know why, but it is. Right. I've been doing it since high school.
Yeah.
And
I mean, there's something to be said about, taking what influenced you and taking your own life experiences and then putting that into music. Yeah. Because I often, hear this when I do theater, that sometimes we sing when there's nothing more to say and that the emotions are so strong that we have to sing it. And I feel like that's what and I think that's what absolutely. And that's why I love songwriting so much. It's because I'm putting my own feelings and emotions. And sometimes, sometimes my songs are kind of about other people's experiences, but it's still putting, real things to paper and to in my case, my Google Docs is where I keep all my lyrics. My storage is almost full, unfortunately, but there's something to be said about putting all that to paper and then just making something out of it that people can connect to.
Do you have this I don't know. I keep calling it a problem. It's not really a problem, but every time I step up to an instrument, I'll start playing something, and I'm like, "That's a song." Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I'm writing a song. Do you ever do
Yeah.
that?
Sometimes. I mean, inspiration will come at the craziest moments.
Yeah.
Like it'll literally be like I said, when I'm driving, sometimes I'll have ideas. I'm like, that's literally the worst time to have it because I'm trying to focus on the road.
Yeah, you're doing
But I have my
70 down
phone
the.
on a stand, and I'm just like, I have my action button is programmed to start a voice recording, so I just like squeeze it and just go, and then I
Oh,
stop
that's a good
it.
idea.
That was a good idea.
I was like, what am I going to
Action
use my
button.
action button for? And it's like my voice memos, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
yeah.
that's a really good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because you know, you, those ideas, you're gonna lose them if you don't get them down. You
Yeah,
will.
I've absolutely lost ideas a couple of times because I just wasn't able to write them down, and that's why I got that little notebook and I carried it everywhere.
Yeah.
And now, my boyfriend, before we got together, got me another notebook once I finished that one, and it's like a bigger, like more concrete. It was like leather bound, and you know, that was like the most meaningful gift that I ever got because I carry that with me all the time, and I use it to write down my lyrics.
My sister gives me notebooks every once in a
I
while.
love that.
Yeah, because she knows that's I love doing that.
And they fill up.
Yeah.
They absolutely do.
Yeah. But anyway, I love that you do that. I think
Thank
that's
you.
because for me it's very therapeutic too,
Agreed.
and it helps me get through a lot.
Yeah.
Life
Songwriting has got me through so much.
and
So much.
yeah, music is medicine. Period.
Music is medicine. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really is. And I mean, the songs that I was able to produce and put on my EP, they're all from the same like 3-year span of my life. But I mean, there was so much in those 3 years that happened. So it's like, how can I, like, what is the best of what I was feeling and the best songs that came from those 3 years to put into, this is my first impression.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first thing that people are going to hear when they look me up, because it's going to be a minute before something else comes out. So this is all I got. And, I obviously had more of a pop singer-songwriter background, but the first single that I actually released in 2024 was more R&B sounding. And it kind of emulated like the 90s, 2000s girl groups. And I think that was a sound like a lot of people who have heard my music before weren't really expecting that from me. And so it was kind of exciting.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love, songwriting can really stretch the boundaries of what you do as a musician. It really can really open you up to way more than you thought you were capable of.
Yeah. So, what is the name of the EP and where can people go to get it?
The name of my EP is Only Human, and you can find it on Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, everywhere. Anywhere
Can people
you stream.
purchase it?
Yes, yeah, they can.
Okay.
Yeah.
At like Amazon or
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon Music. Basically all the main distributors.
Okay.
It's on there. I'm in the process of working on getting vinyls and CDs to have on me for gigs and performances.
That's great.
Too. Yeah.
All right, excellent. Okay, so Cafe Chronicles, we ask our guests. Do you know about this?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, yeah, okay. So a memory that you've had in the cafe that just kind of pops in your head. But if you know about it, maybe it doesn't pop in your head.
See, the funny part is when I was thinking about this, I was like, how can I just pick one?
Yeah.
I mean, Aretha's has been one of the biggest, parts of my life. It was, for a whole summer, it was like my home away from home. It was like everything I looked forward to coming to every Sunday night, and I would just come and sit and listen and play. And I think what I decided to go with, I actually had my cabaret recital here in late 2024, and it kind of served as my senior recital. I didn't technically have an official senior recital, so and Scott Quinnell helped me, get in contact with you and schedule my cabaret recital here, and being able to combine all of my different genres into one night was really special, and so many people from my life came out to support, and I wasn't expecting the room to be that full, and there was a lot of people in the room that were just there to, support me in what I was doing, because I was raising money for a school trip doing this. But I mean, in terms of just coming here, I mean, I can remember the first time that I came here, I was just enthralled with the whole atmosphere, being in the room, and just listening to jazz. I hadn't witnessed a lot of live jazz before that. And
Yeah.
so having that experience, I think, was the thing that really crossed me over into like, okay, I'm a jazz musician now. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing this too. And so yeah, Aretha's has just been so meaningful to me. I can't speak enough about how great my experience has been coming here over the past
That's
few
great.
years, and I'm excited to keep doing it.
Well, we're always excited to have you.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for
And
having
May
me.
18,
May 18th.
tribute to Teena Marie.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.